Wayback Machine.
Around this time in 1964, the world was discovering a little band from Liverpool. So we'll visit with Ringo, who talks about his all-star band.
People phone in. People say, hey, are you going out this year?
Wait a minute. You're trying to tell me, like take the 15th caller? It's like a radio station contest?
Yeah, anyone who phones in is in the band.
It's all brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on News Talk STL.
When your commercial or industrial facility needs repairs, who do you trust? Commercial Facilities Maintenance gets the job done right, every time. From plumbing and electrical to asphalt, concrete, and fencing, we handle it all. Occupied job sites? No problem. Multi-phase projects? We've got you covered. We offer seamless communication, quality handiwork, and a cost-free estimate within 1 to 2 business days. Building trust with quality work. Visit CommercialFacilitiesMaintenance.com. That's CommercialFacilitiesMaintenance.com.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit STLFenceworks.com.
Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the river.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday to all of you and yours. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch. Hoping for some sunshine pretty soon, as I know everybody is. Jamie Allman here, Ashlyn there, and happy Thursday. So, as I told you yesterday at the opening of the show, because everybody was all gloating about how Jasmine Crockett lost that race, I said, well, you might want to look around as to who beat her and who is now the Democrat nominee, and that's James Tallarico, who is a demon, and I kid you not. And I explained it all to you. There's even more coming out about him, and the worst part about all this is that he has a chance to win the U.S. Senate seat. And I could explain all that down the line, but in the meantime, as I also said, by the time everything is said and done, Jasmine Crockett may very well look like Marilyn from the Munsters after all is said and done. You see the guy who won the Democrat nomination to replace her?
In Utah, it's more of us in church than in Utah. We ain't got nothing to do with what they just did. A white Christian gets killed, murdered, not assassinated.
This is about Charlie Kirk, so just so you
The
know.
whole truth today. Martin King got assassinated. Malcolm X got assassinated. Medgar X got assassinated. Don't compare Kirk to King. Ain't no such comparison now. Let me hasten to say, I'm anti-political violence. Kirk should still be alive. I don't agree with the time with anything Kirk said. What Kirk said was dangerous. What Kirk said was racist.
All right, so you get the picture here. It's just another even more radical racist than Jasmine Crockett. So this is going to be very interesting to see. I want to get right to our good friend. Always enjoy these conversations. I have not what the hell am I talking about? I have not talked to Jim Talent since, of course, what happened in Iran. So want to follow up on that, but also want to get a little bit of a take on what's happening in Texas because it's going to be super important. Jim Talent, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing very well, Jamie. Thank you. And we're going to find out a lot more about Tallarico in the months ahead. I can virtually guarantee that.
Yeah, and again, I'm not, I know people hate it when I say it, but between Paxton and Cornyn, Cornyn gets in, and of course there are some very conservative people who might just sit out. Paxton gets in. There are some people who really question whether or not he can survive some of the dirt that will be thrown at him because there is a lot of dirt to be thrown at him, unfortunately, for him. So then that leaves this open path for this guy because the news media is not going to critique Tallarico. They're not going to really look at how this guy is using the Bible and other things to promote really dastardly things and how he's kind of a phony. So, there's a chance, although Beto didn't really survive very well, so that there's that. Texans aren't that stupid, but, you never know.
Yeah, and the Texans are pretty good at settling their own hash, as my mama used to say, so I don't presume to give them advice. I'm also a little biased in this because I know Cornyn personally. I served with him and I like him. I do not know the Attorney General. I'm sure he would make a good senator. I don't know, Jamie. Voters got to make judgments depending on how much they weigh the interests and the equities that are at stake. And I'm not just, which means, as for me, the older I get, the more, if I have a clear sense that one or the other is substantially more likely to win the general election, that is generally pretty powerful for me.
Yeah.
But, you don't know because you just said, okay, we may lose voters if we nominate certain voters, if we nominate Cornyn, and other voters if we nominate Paxton. But, that the stakes nationally are so big and the stakes for the president are so big, particularly with holding control of the Senate, that, that would be a major issue for me. But as I said, I learned a long time ago, unless the Texans ask for advice, don't give it to them.
Yeah, and here's the
Texans.
Well, here's the things about Republicans that doesn't seem to be a thing among Democrats. They just do kind of things silently. Like, for instance, they just lopped off Jasmine Crockett's knees and didn't say a word, really. And suddenly it's Tallarico, and nobody said a word about criticizing Jasmine Crockett in the meantime. They just kind of slipped that one in there. Republicans, however, kind of, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing all the time. We got to live with the consequences of it, though, is that Republicans do spend a lot of time sometimes beating up on other Republicans. And so by the time this is all done between Cornyn and Paxton, both of them, the severest criticism against each of them has come from Republicans. And I'm like, guys, I get it. You have your issues with Cornyn or Paxton, whatever. I frankly think Cornyn at this stage in the game has a better chance now that Tallarico is in there. And I think really only Cornyn can really beat him. But, and as much as I disagree with Cornyn on some issues, but, I just kind of, my instincts tell me, man, we just need to be careful sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's how I would approach it. And again, though, I have to say, get it out front, I'm biased because I like John Cornyn. I will say this to people. I mean, Cornyn is a conservative, and he's a strong supporter of the president. Now, we're fortunate we have a strong party leader, and his people are focused politically on the midterms. And I think he's going to provide some leadership here. Doesn't mean he gets everything right. I mean, nobody does, but they're all waiting, I think, to see what the president does. In the meantime, it would be good if people could hold their fire a little bit for exactly the reason that you mentioned.
Yeah.
This is coalition management and politics. And it's not easy. At the same time, I know how I'm sounding. I'm saying one thing and then the other, but it's because in a way, you did the same thing. I mean, we are strong-minded people in the United States, not to mention in Texas, and people are going to say what they want to say and support who they want to support. And I just think it's important immediately afterwards for everybody to pull together.
Yeah.
And I would hope that Paxton and Cornyn will both strongly support the other, no matter who wins.
Well,
so, yeah, but it's important. I mean, I will say it's very important in particular to hold the Senate because the president has nominations. There's a bunch of reasons for that.
Yeah, those guys are killing each other though, Cornyn and Paxton, and I mean it's just so anyway. But that is the way it is, and I realize that. But there's a lot at stake here, and I agree with you on that coalition management thing. I always love it when when I learn about new concepts from you. I learned a while back about message discipline and now coalition management. So I really like that whole concept there. So thank you for that. All right, so on to Iran and the future of what is going to be happening with the U.S. involvement. Oh, real quickly, on the Cornyn and Paxton thing, do you think that President Trump at this stage of the game makes an endorsement or no?
The president, I don't know, because the president always holds his cards close to the vest. I don't have any inside knowledge. I do know that the president wants to do well in the midterms. He understands the importance of it, and I think whatever decision he makes will be made with that in mind.
Yeah.
Whether to endorse, to not endorse, or to, I mean, in the past he sometimes endorsed two people.
Yeah.
So I don't. He did in the Missouri primary a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I was very pleased at the outcome there. Yes, I've known Eric Schmidt many years, and he's a great senator.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I do know that they are focused like lasers from a political perspective on the midterms. The president knows how important it is to his agenda the last 2 years. So he's going to be out there. We're going to see a lot of him, and I'm looking forward to that because we have a very good story to tell. And the Democrats have been giving us a lot of material over the last 6 months, including on this war, which I know you want to get to.
Yeah. I'm just more worried than I have been because, now that Jasmine Crockett isn't the nominee, I'm really worried. So, I mean, I thought for sure if she were the nominee, this would be a cakewalk no matter who was there. And this is her loss is complicating matters significantly.
Well, Jamie, this is a reversal of the normal situation because I'm the worrier and you're the happy warrior.
Yeah.
So now we're reversing a little bit.
Yeah. I know.
I do tend to worry. I have to guard against that because the president's done a great job in the last 14 months. We have a good story to tell. I'm not concerned in particular about the midterms. And we could discuss that if you want, because we have a good story to tell, and the Democrats have gone out on a limb on immigration. They're now going out on a limb on the war. And these are not issues people trust the Democrats on anyway. So I'm perfectly happy if this midterm goes off on either issue. The president's doing what he said he was going to do, and this war is the right thing at the right time, being done in the right way.
Yeah.
I know you want to talk about it.
Well, and
basically, go ahead.
Just real quickly, I'm sorry to keep bringing you back to it, but then we'll move on. The Republican Senatorial Committee, this is important because these guys are always asking for money. You always, win red's always there. The Republican Senatorial Committee. Well, this is where if they really want to show that they're worthy of people's donations, we better see them immediately carpet bombing Tallarico's campaign because there's enough there, and we need to see some activity so that Cornyn or Paxton don't have to do all the heavy lifting themselves. You know what I mean?
Well, if anybody offers a bet to you and they take the position that isn't going to happen, take the bet. take the bet.
Yeah.
I can virtually guarantee. And that's why I said at the beginning, we're going to hear a lot more about James Tallarico.
Yeah.
Just as we heard about Beto or Beto or how you pronounce his name.
Right.
You're going to hear a lot about that. And Like I said, I have a good feeling that no matter what happens, we'll prevail. But again, in decisions like this, if I feel there's substantial additional risk with a particular candidate, I generally will, in my own voting, will go the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand that. I know everybody's been so busy celebrating Jasmine Crockett's loss that I think they're missing what is creeping up on us. All right, on to Iran, my friend. So, yeah, this was, well, first of all, what was your reaction? You woke up Saturday morning, or maybe you heard something even before that. What did you think when you first saw the news?
I thought it was overwhelmingly likely that this was going to be a turkey shoot, in essence. I can be a little bit freer in the way I describe it than Rubio or even Secretary Hegseth, because when we have the opportunity to build up, to plan, and we can choose the time of attack, and we're launching an air attack against a country that does not have effective integrated air defenses, we're very, very effective. And and that's before you get to the Israelis, who are the absolute dominant power in the Middle East. I mean, this is an extremely powerful coalition, and it's for two reasons, two immediate reasons why we're doing this. Number one is we're defanging the enemy. We're destroying their drones, their ballistic missiles, and the supply chain by which they create them. And we're also rendering them unable to support their proxies, their little children around the Middle East, like Hezbollah and Hamas. And the second reason we're doing it, Jamie, is we're settling accounts. For 47 years, they've attacked Americans, Americans abroad, American diplomats, American servicemen and women, American shipping, and the butcher's bill is being paid now. And I'm going to tell you, that is a theme throughout our history. You don't do that. Nobody does that to us. And so we're settling accounts with them now. So I'm all for it. I think it's going to be very successful. And I think it has the potential. And President Trump will, of course, go for as big a win as he can get, as he should. So it has. I'll tell you something people are not talking a lot about. Okay, the Chinese are wringing their hands out. They were sending technology and help to the Iranians to rebuild their ballistic missiles. So the Chinese get 15% of their oil from Iran. And they were counting on Iran, if the balloon goes up in the Indo-Pacific, they were counting on Iran to do something in the Middle East to distract us. I'm afraid that's gone. You want to hear a quote from the South Morning China Post, which is one of the regime mouthpieces. This is in Hong Kong, but they're a regime mouthpiece. Here's the headline. Is the U.S. in decline? After Iran strikes, maybe not, Chinese analysts say.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe not.
Wow.
Okay? Because it also disturbs their narrative. They've been telling everybody for years, the Americans are in decline. You can't count on the Americans, et cetera, because they want to demoralize our allies in the Indo-Pacific. Well, this is sending a very, very different message. And I'm going to tell you, President Trump figured this out. The Iranians thought they could skunk us in negotiations because they've skunked other presidents in negotiations. That's trying to do that to Trump is like taking on a shark in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy wrote a book about negotiations. Which I've been
right. True.
He knew exactly what they were doing. He was in control of all of that. This is a really good move. Now, look, we've had the last time I looked 4 casualties, which is 4 too many. But I can tell you, the men and women in CENTCOM, they've been watching this outlaw, these butchers, for decades, and they've been chomping at the bit to get them back.
Yeah.
And they're doing it now.
Well, Iran seems to be, and I think it's now up to 6. I think this morning I heard 2 more, but I'll get to that in a second. So it seems to me like yesterday Pete Hegseth said, we torpedoed this ship in international waters, and it was the first time that the U.S. Navy had ever, since World War II, sunk a ship with a torpedo. And that reminded me, speaking of World War II, it seems like we're almost fighting a Japanese-style force because even though Japan was far stronger than Iran, but Iran is now using these drones, which are really reminding me of the kamikaze pilots. The drones are what killed those 4 heroes there at the base, and these drones. I guess people think these drones look like R2-D2 or something. No, these things are they're airplanes. They're unmanned airplanes, basically.
Yes, unmanned air platforms.
Yeah,
drone warfare is a reality now of modern war, and we're doing this precisely to take away from them this capability to do this in the future. And we're picking a time when see, we don't want to get into fair fights, right? We want to get into unfair fights where we have an overwhelming overmatch.
Yes.
And so now is exactly the time to take them on. And people will say, well, you should wait till the threat's imminent. No, that's much riskier. Do it now. And Trump understands that. When the adversary is wounded, take them out. And even if the regime staggers on, I've been saying ever since the protests, Jamie, that the collapse of the regime, I think, is inevitable. The only question is how imminent it is. But even if they stagger on, they're not going to have the resources to hurt us. They're not going to have the assets. I mean, power is a combination of intention and capability. Well, they'll still have the intention because they're ideological fanatics, but they're not going to have the capability. And again, that's before you get to the Israelis, who, after this is over, if the regime is still in place, the Israelis are going to snuff out any attempt they make to reconstitute. If I had to bet, I think the regime is going to fall, or somebody wearing a military cap is going to come forward, take power, and play ball with us the way they're doing in Venezuela.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know that they have been focusing on regime security, so that I'm not as certain of. But I feel pretty strongly, and have from the beginning, this is going to be a short and very successful war, and it's going to have a lot of good side effects. Have you been watching what's happened to Hezbollah?
Yeah.
So the Lebanese government has now banned Hezbollah.
Yeah.
The Lebanese government has now said Iranians can't come into Lebanon without a visa. And Hezbollah, Jamie, is tied at the hip with the narco-terrorists. They launder a lot of their money. People understand there are global implications to this. So we weaken, or the Israelis are attacking them right now. The Israelis take out Hezbollah. That provides a lot of relief for what we're dealing with in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
The president has a plan, Jamie, and a policy, and he's pursuing it consistently and intelligently. And people, and some on our side, they constantly underestimate the guy. And I say, no, don't do that.
Yeah, and they also purposely misinform people about what this is. So we've had a problem recently with some so-called conservatives siding with the left in this simplistic and errant approach to explaining all this as some kind of war for Israel. And Marco Rubio said something that suddenly all these people seized upon and misconstrued, and Marco Rubio wisely kind of laid it out again and said, that's not what I was saying, and whatever, about Israel and how we did we wait for them or did we push them? And President Trump said, I probably pushed them more than anything else as opposed to them pushing us. But I really am, all the simpletons are calling this a war for Israel, and it's totally untrue.
Yeah, well, I would suggest they read the National Security Strategy of the United States, in particular, page 5, which discusses what it is we want in various parts of the world. And it says in the Middle East, of course, the global interest we have is protecting Americans, the American homeland, the American economy. That goes all over the world. Okay. In the Middle East, our specific objectives are to prevent any adversary from dominating the region or being able to choke off or to occupy the choke points on which our economy depends. These are classic vital national interests in the Middle East, and that's what the Trump administration is pursuing here. Now, we're doing it with allies and partners because the president has been very effective in building that up. The Israelis are extremely good ally. And I say to people, Jamie, why wouldn't people say, well, why should we want Israel as an ally? Why wouldn't we want
Yeah,
Israel
well,
as an
of
ally?
course.
They're absolutely the most powerful country in the region. They're not sitting around, the Israelis, worrying about what the kids at Columbia University or somebody on Twitter is saying about them.
Right.
They're the dominant power in the Middle East. Ever since October 7th, they have been acting to preempt the threats against them. They're exactly the kind of ally we want in Europe and Asia. That's why President Trump consults with them. And I could give you a number of instances where our interests with them have diverged, and the president has accommodated it with them. But no, I mean, the Israelis are a very useful partner in this, and I'm glad we got them. Their intelligence capabilities are unmatched, Jamie, and their ability to adapt technology to commercial or military use is also unmatched. They're really going to help us with Golden Dome, because you know how slow our Department of War moves in adapting technology. It's a constant, vexing problem that many of us are working on. I did a task force and a report about 5 or 6 years ago with Bob Work, who was the Deputy Secretary of Defense under Obama, believe it or not. And it was about the National Security Innovation Base, how we can broaden that base and translate it into actual usable systems on the battlefield. And the Israelis are really good at that. I mean, you know this, Luke, have you been reading about these drones that we're using now where we took Iranian drones, reverse engineered them, and produced these really effective drones? I bet anything that the Israelis helped us do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, because they also had that beeper technology as well. I mean, is it safe to say that, and maybe not, because I don't know what the true capabilities of China would be, but is it safe to say that the U.S. and Israel have the two most powerful militaries on the planet? Well,
it depends. Here I got to get a little bit into the weeds. It depends on for what purposes. If you want an expeditionary mission where you are sending naval forces across the globe to accomplish a mission, only we can do that. Even the Chinese can't do that now. If you're talking about in the Indo-Pacific, the ability to dominate that theater, the Chinese, because of their huge missile arsenal and because they're present, they're there. In other words, they have a huge logistical advantage. We have to steam from Hawaii or from San Diego, and they have a whole lot more ships. So I would not say the Israelis are not more powerful overall than China, but they're much more powerful in the region, and they've adapted and sized and shaped their force to accomplish their national objectives. And so they do have an extremely powerful Air Force, which they're using now.
Yeah.
I'll mention something else, Jamie. Okay. If the Gulf states, by the way, everybody in the region wants us to do this.
Yeah.
The Europeans are sitting there wringing their hands. Everybody in the region wants us to do it. Even the Saudis, who were publicly saying, oh, you shouldn't do it. I know for a fact, anybody will tell you this, they were privately begging the president to do this.
Yeah.
But if somebody in the Middle East and you're worried over Syria, you're worried over what position the Israelis are taking, and you want to have influence with the Israelis, who are you going to call? There's only one person whose opinion they really respect and care about outside of Israel. It's Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well,
and so Trump has maintained strong relationships with all these countries, which gives him and therefore us the ability to lead this emerging coalition in the Middle East. It's brilliant. I don't want people to think I'm a Trump sycophant, although I'm getting there, I'll tell you. But this is the best foreign policy I've seen in a long time. So what he saw was the opportunity to take out an adversary here at very low risk to us. And you're seeing this play out now, aren't you?
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know what's interesting? And I hasten to, Newsmax has a headline that says, troops, 6 soldiers killed in Operation Epic Fury. Actually, they were not killed in Operation Epic Fury. They were killed by Iranian drones that blasted into their base. So I think it's important. The language is important here because I want to get to this regarding the human factor involved in this war, and it is nothing short of incredible, the talent of our members of the military. I have seen so many videos already of our fighter jets literally just flipping over and over, avoiding these missiles shot at them. The 3 gigantic fighter jets that were blasted mistakenly by the Kuwaitis, every single one of the individuals in those airplanes ejected and, into the water and wound up, showing up on the beach there. And I mean, we have some really super, not to mention the Venezuela thing, we have some really super talented people in the military. It's just not to mention the people who were planning this whole thing and putting it into motion.
Yeah, the Navy is very good at what they call breaking the kill chain. In other words, in order to shoot down an aircraft, or for that matter, a drone, there's a number of things that have to happen. They're like links in a chain, and if you can break it at any point, if you keep the radar, first of all, you destroy the radar or the anti-air defense before you even send in the fighters, which you can do with like Tomahawks and that sort of thing. Then you keep the radar from locking on soon enough so that you can get in and out. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do, and we're very good at it. That's why I said at the beginning, there's an enormous overmatch here. I want to address a bit the skeptics on our side of this, and I want to say some of them are what you say, they're kind of flakes. There's others, though, and I could name a few names I have enormous respect for and will continue to have respect for after this is over. I don't blame anybody. There's a lot of folks who are in the public square. They follow foreign policies to some degree, but understanding the capabilities of the American military is really a separate domain. I'm not an expert. I'm an educated layperson because I've been dealing with it for so long. And given the examples they have had in the past when we've used American military power in the Middle East, I don't blame them for being skeptical and for worrying. But I hope that they see this now and understand when we get good political leadership, they are very aware of our vulnerabilities. The president would not be doing this if he felt like there were substantial, unacceptable levels of risk to our guys and gals. And the other thing I'll point out, Jamie, is the Iranians killed 250 Marines in Beirut in 1983, 600 of our ground troops in the Iraqi war, and they'd have killed so many more if they had had the capability to do it. So our servicemen and women know they are saving American lives in the future by what they're doing now. That's how we have to look at it. It's a tragedy when we lose one of them. I used to nominate these kids to the Air Force or to the various service academies, and I'd always have a party for them after I did. And they're some of the finest people, young people you can ever meet. So you hate it. I used to write these letters during the Iraqi war to their parents. It was hard. So, and the president, one of his core beliefs is he's very jealous of the lives of servicemen and women. But he has to do his job. And this is protecting his country. That's what they sign up for, Jamie. And so they're fighting a war for America. You're right. They're doing a great job at it. And we have a great ally and other allies as well. And this has a real potential to pacify, if you will, the Middle East to the point where we can then withdraw our forces, or at least many of them, which is what we've all been wanting to do for a long time. So we don't have to maintain this presence in the Middle East. Well, if the Israelis and the Gulf states and Egypt and Jordan are basically able to control what happens there, we don't need to have forces there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't mind, I do have to take a break, but I want to address something with you really quickly, if you don't mind hanging on just a few more minutes.
Okay, just a few, because I've got I need to do some work for the people who actually pay me. You know what I mean? Okay.
Well, you want me to just?
I can hang on. I can do it, Jamie. I was making a little.
No, I understand that. I just don't want to. I think getting paid is is a good thing. Well, this is the Common Sense Radio Hour here on this Thursday. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Jim Talent on the line, and it's a 3-martini lunch, people. Yeah. Common Sense Radio, News Talk STL.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Freddy's Market, Iron Bear Customs, and STL Windows and Doors. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Two things that define nature: tampons in the men's room and Gavin Newsom. Got your attention? Let's deal with Newsom first. Serving as Lieutenant Governor of California 8 years, governor for 7, 15 years with his hands on California. And he was asked, has California been overregulated? Newsom admitted, yeah, but I have a new plan. In other words, I have a plan for more regulation, adding, we can't just focus on rhetoric. We actually have to deliver a better plan. Yeah, right, and pigs will fly. Now, totally unnatural, as is tampons in the men's room at Netflix. And that apparently torpedoed Netflix plans to buy Warner's. Netflix insists we're not part of the leftist woke agenda and invited members of Congress to the headquarters. And there in the men's room, a business claiming not to push woke agendas, tampon machines in the men's room. Of course, the price is still a big part of the deal, but for Missouri Congressman Jason Smith, who was on that tour, tampons told him and other members, Netflix is still woke, and we're not going to approve any merger that would put more trash in the face of our children.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time, give it to me easy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday to all of you and yours. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the 3-martini lunch. We continue on really quickly with the teetotaling Jim Talent because he's gotta get back to the real work.
I gotta get back to work.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like but my wife. I'll talk all afternoon, particularly about something like this.
I know.
My wife reminds me that I do need to bring in some income, occasionally.
I get it.
That's kind of what.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not a day drinker, my friend. So
I know.
I'm not a teetotaler, but I'm not going to go out and have. Although I tell you, if I did, I have a couple I would talk all afternoon about. I'd be calling up. I'd be calling you back. I would say, Jamie, I want to be on the whole rest of the show.
Yeah, I love it, man. So,
Jamie, people, and I know you had a reason, and I'm the one who said I can't stay on forever, but people who understand the Middle East are so excited about the potential of this. Now, it may not entirely come off. We're going to get a good, solid win, no matter what happens. In other words, we're going to be in a much stronger position. But this has some real potential going forward and big implications for the rest of the world. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Agreed. Well, one quick question here, and this is about the briefings. I know you have been involved in Senate briefings before and everything else. But it's very disturbing sometimes, like, for instance, when we had Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, who left a briefing and basically could not wait to get in front of a microphone.
I just left a classified briefing on Iran, and here's what I can say. It is so much worse than you thought. You are right to be worried. Trump administration has no plan in Iran. This illegal war is based on lies.
So how is it possible that she can still be able to be in a Senate briefing after this kind of violation? I realize she didn't give away exact details, but how is it possible?
Well, here's what I'll tell you about the process, Jamie. So members of Congress and the Senate automatically have the highest level security clearance. And there are certain situations, and if you're on certain committees, where the executive is required to brief, and they do brief, and they should, but they don't tell them anything. They don't tell them things that if it were leaked, things that are of a timely and of such a significance that if it were leaked, it would imperil America's armed forces, and they shouldn't. Okay. And now, if it is something, unless it is something where they need congressional action of some kind, which it rarely is. Now, when the operation is over, then they will give more details. In other words, when that risk has disappeared, then they'll give more details. And I always said that when I was in office. I mean, I would say during these briefings, I would ask questions and the rest of it, but I understood, and I would occasionally say to people, look, I understand you're not saying everything, and I don't want you to say everything, because even apart from people, from members or senators who might, for political reasons, say something they shouldn't say, sometimes it's hard to remember what's classified and what isn't. I mean, it really is. Like you're talking about a particular system or a weapons platform, and you can't remember offhand whether the range is classified or not. So the short of it is they don't tell them everything, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And whether it's Elizabeth Warren or anybody else, she's taken a political position. The Trump administration has never claimed to know exactly what's going to happen in Iran afterwards. What they have said all along, which is what they should say, is that the object of this is to advance American national interest by destroying the capability of the adversary to hurt us. And we're going to get that done. And what happens in Iran afterwards is up to the Iranian people. Now, there will be attempts on the part of the United States and the Israelis to influence that, and that's fine. I'd be surprised if they haven't already been engaged in it. The Israelis have been, but that's not the primary purpose of this.
Yeah.
And the president and Rubio and Hegseth have said it 100 times. And so when people like Warren claim, something different, they're deceiving people. That's just the way it is. I mean, they're doing this for political advantage.
No doubt about it. All right, my friend, I appreciate it very much. Let you get back to work. Really appreciate you spending as much time. You, as always, are offering us sage insights into really what's going on. So, Jimmy, thank you so much.
Glad to do it, my friend. Try not to worry too much.
All right. You have a good rest of your week. All right, it's Common Sense Radio. As John Steele pointed out, I couldn't take any more of his time, and it's fine. But you remember I told you about the congressional hush money and the money that the members of Congress have used to pay off individuals who have made allegations of sexual misconduct or harassment against them. Well, we were going to release, right? Nancy Mace said, well, let's release the names. Let's do all that. Well, they voted not to. And we know who they are, who voted not to. So we'll follow up on that with you. It's Common Sense Radio.
News, analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Never paint again with Rhino Shield. Listen to what a couple of happy customers have to say.
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted. Our building was really faded. You came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
What a wonderful job they did. It's beautiful. They were very thoughtful, kind, considerate guys. Appreciate all the work that these two young men did.
Call Rhino Shield, 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need to understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, Ashton over there, and we'll follow up on that vote. There's some conflicting words about who voted for what and what the vote was all about, but Congress basically killed it, and there's hundreds of lawmakers who voted to kill it, and we'll break it all down for you eventually. I gotta go through the names. Pretty crazy. And of course, ostensibly what they're going to do, and this happens all the time, is they're going to say, well, it's too dangerous because we don't want to release the names of the people who are making the accusations and doing all this kind of stuff. But that's that's not really ultimately the purpose here, and you know exactly what's going on here. By the way, I got to get to this, and I'll get this into the 1 o'clock hour because it's really super important. But have you guys noticed Elizabeth Hasselbeck is back on The View, at least for a short time, as she is filling in for Farrah Griffin or whatever, the supposed conservative on the show, and she's really not actually, but Hasselbeck is, and she really wowed him. She really nailed the people on The View. It was yesterday. It was really pretty amazing. So we'll get to it but I want to make sure I get to this first because I want to be able to spread it out a little bit at 1 o'clock so I can have more time and don't have to go right to a break on it. So this is crazy. So CNN is trying to help get all the Trump derangement syndrome people back in the whole anti-ballroom game. And surprisingly, CNN really kind of defeats its own purpose in putting this out on X. President Trump's massive East Wing ballroom project is poised to get its final approval from a government commission that oversees planning for federal buildings and land in the nation's capital, despite receiving over, of course, I can't stand it when journalists use the term over to talk about a quantity, which over is a physical place, and more than is a reference to quantity, but journalists don't care about that anymore. They don't care about proper English, and it drives me crazy. I know that's pedantic of me and nitpicky and everything else, but more than is related to a number. Over is related to a physical position. Why adults who have gone to school and graduated from school still use over linked to a quantity is beyond me. But that's enough of my bitching about that. Despite receiving, I'll correct it for them, more than 32,000 comments from the public that were overwhelmingly negative. Now, when you look at the amount of people who live in the United States of America, and then you compare that to, and what is it, 300 million? And then all the left-wing crazies could muster is 32,000 negative comments. 32,000 that were apparently put into the record or whatever they did. They I guess it was comments that were made publicly or whatever and put into a comment section. But 32,000. So this gives you a really good indication, ladies and gentlemen, about what the reality is as it relates to what the true reality is. Unbelievable. So really, this is all driven by CNN and the news. 32,000 people out of 300 million don't like the ballroom. Nice. Nice work. Didn't convince too many people with all the reporting either, did they? It's Common Sense Radio. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Do you know why I endorse Cafe Napoli, all the locations? Visit any of them, and you will quickly appreciate the quality of food, service, atmosphere. So maybe I'll see you at Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli Kirkwood, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. Or maybe you'll find me at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Now you know why I endorse Napoli, NapoliSTL.com.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson. Mario's Donut Restaurant, that's your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches, omelets, delicious gyros, and Mexican dishes, to their revamped menu with cannolis, tiramisu, baklava, and danishes. And don't forget those famous donuts. Dine in or carry out, Mario's friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit, or just visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. We've got breaking news at the Department of Homeland Security at this hour. President Trump says he is replacing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, and she'll be replaced by GOP Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma. Iran has launched a new wave of attacks against Israel, American bases, and countries around the region. The Islamic Republic warning that the U.S. would, quote, bitterly regret torpedoing that Iranian warship. Day 6 of the Iran war, with Israel and Iran escalating their attacks on one another. Here's the BBC's Yolanda Nell.
The Israeli authorities have said that from today they're going to start easing the restrictions on the Israeli public that were introduced since Saturday, and saying that is due to the decline in incoming rocket fire from Iran. The Israeli military spokesman in his last briefing was really putting that decline down to the successful military operations to target Iranian missile storage sites and missile launch sites.
That is the BBC's Yolanda Nell reporting. The Senate has rejected a Democrat attempt to stop the conflict in its tracks.
Senate Republicans voted down a war powers resolution that would restrict President Trump's ability to continue major combat operations against Iran. The vote fell mostly along party lines. It was a sign of early GOP public support for a conflict that has rapidly spread across the Middle East. Democrats complain that the war is not justified and that there's no clear U.S. exit strategy. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Republicans are invoking the war in Iran and the prospect of retaliatory terrorist attacks as they try to tee up votes on a funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats have been blocking DHS funding. On Wall Street, the major indexes all struggling today. Right now, the Dow is off more than 1,000 points. More from townhall.com.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven you can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted, it works, it's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Cloudy and mild today, the high about 67 degrees, maybe a spot sprinkle here and there, and it's foggy, but a lot of dry time today. And then overnight lows tonight really won't be an issue. We'll be down into the 60s, but what a warm day tomorrow. Close to 80 degrees, not a lot of rain, a mainly dry, windy, warm day. But then storms roll in Friday night, and there's a risk of severe storms overnight Friday into very early on Saturday morning. That rain will move out, will stay a little cloudy, set the hot clocks ahead over the weekend, and Sunday looks sunny and mild. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hello, everyone. It's Fez with the Moolah Shrine Circus. I want to remind you to get your tickets now for our big circus in March. We've got new exciting acts like the Swinging Trapeze, the Daring Horseman, the Human Cannonball, and much more. And kids under 12 are free with a paid general admission ticket. So go to moolah.org and get your tickets today for the Moolah Shrine Circus, March 20th to the 22nd at the St. Charles Family Arena.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field. Hear the stands come alive. Smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove. And just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
This season, step up to the ultimate game day experience with Cardinals all-inclusive tickets. Enjoy a full buffet, complimentary bar, and unbeatable views inside Busch Stadium. It's great food with great company for every pitch, hit, and home run. Choose your experience in the Budweiser 703 Club, UMB Champions Club, Professional Red Jacket Club, and more. See the game like a VIP with all-inclusive tickets. On sale now at cardinals.com/tickets.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
I see what you're wearing. There's nothing beneath it. Forgive me for staring. Forgive me for breathing. We might not know why. We might not know how. But baby, tonight we're beautiful now. We're beautiful now.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you. Ashton over there. And we are we're breaking down the votes on this particular. So I have the roll call votes from the effort to release these ethics committee files. So this was a really ultimately a motion to refer. And when you motion to refer, you basically are killing something. When you motion to refer, you are killing something. And so that's really what it is. It's basically just like a motion to table. And so this was the question. Directing the Committee on Ethics to preserve and publicly release records of the committee's review of violations or alleged violations of Clause 9 and Clause 18. And these are the rules for the House of Representatives. And, of course, presumably they bar any kind of sexual harassment, that kind of thing. But basically what happens is there's a slush fund, and that's what this is really all about. But the question was, this was on a motion to refer, and the yeas totaled 357, and the nays totaled 65, with the one voting present, which means you don't have any guts, and not voting at all were 9 people. So you kind of have to go down the list here, and I'll go kind of I'll just go, and let's go right to Missouri, because I have a little table here, a little special table here, and let me just see about Missouri here. So let's see. The Republican from Missouri, Alford, voted yes to refer it. The Democrat Wesley Bell voted yes to refer it. Burleson voted no. Our trusty old Rex Burleson didn't want it to be made to disappear. So Rex Burleson hung in there for the people who want transparency and beyond. I'll have to get him on the air about that. Eldridge Cleaver, Democrat, Missouri, voted yes to refer it. So all the yay votes, what I'm saying is all the yay votes were votes to kill this thing, basically make this thing disappear. Bob Onder didn't vote. Not quite sure why that was. We'll have to ask him on that. Sam Graves, Republican of Missouri, voted yes. Jason Smith, Republican from Missouri, voted yes. And Ann Wagner voted yes. So ultimately, we'll have to figure out why. I'm just getting this roll call vote. This roll call vote is just coming to me, so I'm just able to get it to you. So Nancy Mace was the one who wanted to do all this, but the Michael Guest and Mark Desaulniers, the ranking member of this particular ethics committee, said that if we went ahead and released this, it could chill victim cooperation and witness participation in ongoing and future investigations. Victims may be re-traumatized by public disclosures of interim work product, excerpts of interview transcripts, and certain exhibits, and witnesses who often only speak to the committee confidentially or on condition of future anonymity. And they could fear retaliation if their cooperation is made public. And that's really, if you talk to any of these House members who voted yes to refer this and therefore get rid of it, quash it, squash it, whatever way you want to do, that would be their excuse. But let me tell you something. The only way, there are a million ways you could do this, and all we want are the names of the representatives who utilize the slush fund. The problem might have been with the way in which it was worded, because it was worded in an overly broad manner, much like people when they said they wanted to release the Epstein files. Well, they just kind of dumped everything in there. And it could be that the release of the Epstein files and the subsequent unredacted names and just everybody all over the map might have actually also prompted some people to worry about how this was all going to play out with the slush fund. So perhaps it would have been better, and I'm not questioning Mace's approach here, but perhaps it would have been better to just tell us what the names are of the people, and then that's all we need. And then we can go to those people and say, hey, what happened here? What's the deal here? And let me know what happened here. That's all. But the problem is it was overly broad, in my opinion. And when you look at the actual, if you look at the actual wordage of the bill, it says directing the Committee on Ethics to preserve and publicly release records of the committee's review of violations or alleged violations, and that would be of Clause 9, all these things that they talk about with sexual harassment and everything else. But that's not what. But I'm not quite sure we really wanted that as much as we wanted just the names of the members of Congress who, since the slush fund was created, utilized said slush fund to pay people who complained about sexual harassment, everything else. And so a couple things I think went on here, and one of them was that there's the Epstein file release was so sloppy and so uncontrolled, and victims' names came out and all this kind of stuff. And I think that had an impact on some of the people voting when they heard that, well, we will release these records too. Well, we really didn't want the records. as much as we wanted the names of the individuals who utilized the Congressional Slush Fund. That was pretty much right? Wouldn't you have been happy with that? I want to know the names of the people who utilized the slush fund to pay off people who complained about them, and then we'll then follow up on our own and say, hey, Congressman so-and-so, why did you use the slush fund? And how much each congressperson used. But, I think Nancy Mace, again, I think I laud the fact and applaud the fact that she actually did this, but I think it was overly broad. And perhaps that's why some people voted to go ahead and squash it. And I think other people voted to go ahead and squash it because their names were in the records. So that's what this is really all about. Their names were in the records, and that's what this is really all about. But for a lot of people, I think, I think they could possibly have like Ann Wagner. I know that she would not be interested in protecting lecherous members of Congress. I don't think that would be her goal here. She's passed a lot of legislation that is in defense of women, and going after people who is in this situation. So, I don't think that she has any nefarious reasons to vote yes to table this. So there must be others. Just getting this news now that and it was predicted this morning that Mark Wayne Mullen would be the new DHS secretary if Kristi Noem was pushed out. I'm really actually disappointed in the Trump administration for getting rid of her. I think it's a bad move. I don't think Kristi Noem did anything wrong. I think there were some issues regarding some plane rides and this goofball she's hanging out with. I get it. But I don't agree with this particular move on the part of the Trump administration. I think she is a scapegoat. I think she's being used as one. And if I'm Kristi Noem, I'm feeling like I basically was just thrown under the bus because of all the unhappiness over all the other DHS stuff. I think Kristi Noem has been good at what she has done. And I think she's just a fall guy for all of this stuff. And I'm disappointed in President Trump for making this decision. So I thought almost for sure that Trump would have the kind of loyalty that I would expect from him. And so apparently, and if I'm not quite sure, Kathleen is saying that she's handling it like a champ. I once we see it, let's take this. This is after she's been fired. Let's take that, Ashlyn, if we can.
It's much more effective in a lot of, especially these sanctuary cities, where we can work on targeting those individuals who have a criminal history besides their legal status that may be in violation of their visa or work permit, but that we work on those and make sure we're going out and doing that with the local law enforcement as much as we possibly can. And that is something that we are going to continue to do and make sure that we're focusing and prioritizing those individuals and make sure that we're addressing the public safety threats there. Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is her speaking after being fired.
Okay, let me visit with him about it. That'd be great. Well, we're talking about doing some other tax benefits for other, so that may be something we could wrap into that conversation. Great idea. Perfect. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Madam Secretary. My name is Chris Galligan. I'm the Vice President of San Francisco Police Officers Association. First of all, I just want to say thank you for recognizing major cities and all of our police unions here across the nation. It means a great deal for you to be here today, so thank you for that. My question, local officers have increasingly been on the front lines of Homeland Security yet we are still funded and staffed like a city responsibility, not a national one. How will DHS ensure
So
local
interestingly
agencies...
enough, I mean, so this she's at one of these major cities conferences, and so there are a lot of people there from police departments and that kind of thing. And technically, she's still speaking as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security because the Senate is still in a mode of confirming Markwayne Mullin as the new Director of Homeland Security. So the Senate still needs to confirm that cabinet position for Markwayne Mullin. So technically, Kristi Noem, when you're listening to her right now, is speaking still as the director of the Department of Homeland Security. So we don't have a new director of the Department of Homeland Security, and any new director of the Department of Homeland Security in the formulation of Markwayne Mullin still has to be voted on by the Senate. So we're now awaiting that vote in D.C., which is going to be taking place fairly rapidly. But at this point, Kristi Noem is just kind of standing there, and she's still the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, and we'll go back to her because she's not really. These are people from law enforcement who are asking her technical questions. This is not a news conference.
So maybe what I'll do is I will forward those grant opportunities to all of you so that you can share them with your departments and have that opportunity. We also have some grants specifically targeted towards special operations. So if you've got some special operations that fit into that category, we could get you some funding that way.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes. Hi, Craig. Yes. Mm-hmm.
One police officer and one sergeant called Border Patrol for assistance, and then after that happened, he tried to fire them for asking Border Patrol to come assist them.
Oh, shoot.
Most recently, they just suspended both officers for 30 days without pay.
The Border Patrol?
No, Detroit
those
police.
officers in Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit
Okay.
police.
All right. So anyway, I mean, I don't think even some of these individuals who are asking her questions know that she's been fired, and surely she does. So, and I know John mentioned that I heard about this $220 million ad campaign that featured her in it and everything else. And again, and President Trump claims that he didn't know about it or whatever. And here's the thing. I don't care. I think Kristi Noem was doing a great job. I think that she was tough as nails, did a great job. And I don't care about any of that. I'm disappointed in President Trump for firing her. I think it is an unnecessary move. And the only people who really care about whether or not Kristi Noem did or didn't do an ad campaign, the only people that really care about that are the left and the news media. I don't care about it at all. I don't care about it at all. But I just am not happy with this firing. And you know, I just think it's lowball. And Markwayne Mullin's all right, but you know, this is just but Markwayne Mullin is a senator, so you know, now we've taken a senator out of the Senate majority, and now we have to come up with another Republican senator who I'm sure is going to be named, but I think it's just a mess, you know, and so I'm surprised that we would mess around with the U.S. Senate majority in this way by taking a Republican U.S. senator out of the U.S. Senate. He'll be out by tomorrow. This doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't make me happy. And we'll keep you up to date about how this is all going to go on. Again, with Mark Wayne Mullen, there will be a replacement named. I mean, because that's what happens. But Mark Wayne Mullen was a strong U.S. senator. You name somebody who just kind of pops in there on his Senate seat, suddenly then it's kind of up for grabs again. Because Mark Wayne Mullen was a winner all the time. So now we've got another, flex thing. I just it's just is I don't know. I just I'll trust the President Trump on this, but doesn't mean I have to like it, So we will keep you up to date. Kristi Noem still smiling, still poised there at this conference, taking questions from members of law enforcement and beyond. This is Common Sense Radio. It is the 3 Martini lunch, my friends. News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
I got to tell you that when it comes to home services, because I've talked about Grasser Electric for going on 20 years now, and that's because Grasser Electric and Shane, they've been players in Common Sense Radio since I coined the phrase. And so Shane's done a fabulous job, and now Josh, his son, is doing a lot of the heavy lifting over there, and you hear his grandson Barrett on the radio here every once in a while. And just a great family, and more importantly than that, a family-run operation that is legendary in its expertise, not only in the field of electrical work and all that kind of thing, both residential as well as commercial, but also plumbing they have added, which is why they have kind of morphed into Grasser Home Services. You can still get them at grasserelectric.com, so that's an easy place. So for your needs, and by the way, we're getting into that springtime, and you guys remember last May when we had that really terrible tornado, and you remember so many, and those storms, and so many people without power and everything else, and it's just intolerable to be without power. Worse in the wintertime, obviously, but being out without power. So they have a backup generator that Grasser loves to feature. It actually comes in a variety of different colors, so it kind of matches your exterior decor and all that kind of thing. So it's really cool, easily installed. It's a price performer, and you only know it's there when you're with power and everybody else isn't. So that's another great feature of Grasser Electric. You have a list of things that are bugging you around the house, that outlet that's all jiggly, it doesn't hold a cord, or that light that keeps flickering there, the kitchen light that keeps flickering, whatever, and you've made a list. And, oh, by the way, and the legendary ceiling fan in the box that's been sitting there for 6 months and nobody's put it up, let Grasser do it. Let one of the trusted electricians at Grasser do that. Repairs, everything else. If you are expanding, remodeling, whatever, they're there for you to do that. If you are in commercial enterprises, they're great for you working with commercial. They have a commercial end too. And the plumbing, of course, they have the same kind of expertise and the same kind of hiring standards that they do for their electricians. And speaking of hiring, they're hiring both. So if you know somebody who is wanting to get into the trades and also wanting to go with a company that is the best, it's grasserelectric.com. That's grasserelectric.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
A celebration 100 years in the making. The National Route 66 Centennial Kickoff Celebration, presented by Vital Farms. Thursday, April 30th through Sunday, May 3rd in Springfield. The celebration kicks off with musical guests featuring Little Big Town, Chris Jansen, Gary LaVox, Gretchen Wilson, the Ozark Mountain Daredevils, and the Haygoods. Events continue through the weekend. You are invited to celebrate Route 66 with us April 30th. Tickets and information on Route66Kickoff.com. Brought to you by the Missouri Route 66 Centennial Commission.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashton over there, and breaking news, of course, that Kristi Noem has been fired as the director of the Department of Homeland Security. Jason, I'm seeing you on Facebook. I'm trying to actually machete my way through all of your words and still don't understand anything that you're saying. So I'm sorry, I can't address it, but you're talking about people who have opposite opinions and whatever. I'm honestly, it's like a wall of words that I can't navigate through. Sorry. I guess it's in reference to me disagreeing with this idea. I mean, honestly, this isn't a thing that people would debate. I think that's what you're getting at, to debate somebody over Kristi Noem's firing. I don't think that's really, I mean, I don't care whether you love it or hate it, and you don't have to care whether I love it or hate it. I really, it's not something I'll even go to the mat on. It's really not that big of a deal to me, but I'm disappointed that Trump fired her. I think she was doing a great job and everything else, and I wonder about the situation where they're pulling a U.S. senator out of the Senate in a time when we have a narrow lead. And it doesn't mean, though, of course, obviously the governor of Oklahoma is a Republican, so he will appoint a Republican to Mark Wayne Mullen's seat. The point I'm making is Mark Wayne Mullen is a very, very strong senator. He's the kind of guy that gets reelected over and over and over again, and so because he's a super strong senator, he's perfect for Oklahoma, and so whoever they put in there is going to have just that much staying power in Oklahoma. Now, again, one of the other things about this, and I'm sure President Trump has done the calculations, Oklahoma isn't going to have a Democrat Senate. They're not going to have too many Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what – I mean, Oklahoma is a really great red state. That state is richly red. And so I'm not quite sure there's a whole lot to worry about here in terms of the replacement for Markwayne Mullin. I don't think that particular Senate seat is unsafe no matter who you put in there. I think if any Republican you put in there will most likely win the election. So it's just a matter of that. It's just kind of odd. But anyway, I think Kristi Noem was loyal to President Trump. I think she was doing a great job. I think she was a great leader for the Department of Homeland Security. I think she added a lot of personality to the Department of Homeland Security. But, there was also all the little personality things going on back there. The situation here is, I'm sure Homan and Noem didn't probably like each other. I've heard that, and it's that kind of those kind of turf battles that you don't really know anything about. You don't know what they're doing or anything of that nature. So, that's just how it goes. But we'll keep following up on it. But she has been removed. Let's see if she's talking at all, Ashton. She's at a conference right now, a major cities conference, and she's just taking questions from people, knowing that she has been fired. I'm not sure many people out there in the audience know, but it doesn't seem like anybody's really asked her. But let's see.
Tell your story to other cities and show them that it can be an opportunity to restore their way of life again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for
so
your
much.
leadership. You
Yes,
bet.
ma'am. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir. You bet.
But the obvious difficulties and implications of having the sanctuary city laws and the states not supporting the feds and things like that.
So
what are some of the vehicles
it seems like there's a real strong possibility that a lot of these people who are at this conference, and that was live, by the way, unless they're kind of on their phones clicking through news pages and other things, they might not even know she's been fired. So, because, and maybe that's not what they want to ask her about either. So we've had several questions, and we've stuck in on the on this little conference here, and there hasn't been one question about her and her firing. So I think a lot of these people actually were listening to them, and they don't have any idea that she has been fired. So we'll keep an eye on it. The Senate is now kind of going to be starting to convene because they'll have to kind of rapidly approve Markwayne Mullin as they do all cabinet appointments. And so we'll keep you up to date on that. I'm sure Tony will too when he's on at 2:00. Speaking of great people, so this was really fabulous. It is so great to have Elizabeth Hasselbeck back on. She was great when she was on The View a long time ago. That was before The View was kind of this crazy cesspool of left-wing crazies and so-called Republican commentators like Anna Navarro. Did you know she was a Republican strategist? I actually forgot she was, because there's nothing remotely conservative or Republican about her. I mean, I have, and this Alyssa Farah Griffin or whatever her name is, that's who she's off because she's on maternity leave. And so Elizabeth Hasselbeck is filling in for her, and I'm not quite sure how long Elizabeth will be filling in for her, but she was great. Listen to this.
Put forward the statistics that 0 illegals released into the U.S. for 10 months straight have not crossed, okay? That nearly 3 million aliens have left the United States, that we have the lowest murder rate in 125 years, that fentanyl trafficking is down 56% at the border, and daily encounters have gone down 96%. Hang on one second. We need a strong border, especially now with our current global situation. And I believe that you may...
Of course, not to mention the fact that Elizabeth Hasselbeck basically looks like Cinderella with the those 4 hag stepsisters at the desk with her. So that's what makes it even better, is that like she's this like glowing fairy that just came out of nowhere, and these four hags are all bitter about it.
56% at the border. And daily encounters have gone down 96%. Hang on one second. We need a strong border, especially now with our current global situation. And I believe that you may say you don't want border control and you're against ICE, but I actually don't believe you in your daily lives. How many people in the audience here had to go through security to get here? Raise your hand. Just be honest. Otherwise, you go to jail, I guess, for illegal trespassing, right? This is an authorized audience.
Yeah, it's funny how when Elizabeth asked that of the audience, this is how the audience is probably not even as any better than the Joy Behars of the world, because every single one of them had to come through security to get into the View, and only a handful of them actually raised their hands because they're so dark and they're so rudderless that they couldn't even be honest enough because they were afraid that the conservative was making a good point. So the people of the View, which you rarely see, you hear them clapping for all the nonsense that comes out of the mouths of the people on the View, but you rarely see them. But this is proof that the audience of the View isn't that much different than the View cast members, and they couldn't even muster up the honesty to raise their hands and confirm what Elizabeth Hasselbeck was saying.
And I believe that you may say you don't want border control and you're against ICE, but I actually don't believe you in your daily lives. How many people in the audience here had to go through security to get here? Raise your hand. Just be honest. Otherwise, you go to jail, I guess, for illegal trespassing, right? This is an authorized audience. They had to go through security to get through the border, to get right here, to just hear us talk. We need strong borders more than ever right now. We are being infiltrated.
But Elizabeth, can I give you a on the border when Renee Good and Alex Peretti were murdered, and death is not a mistake.
Then they change the subject, and of course, then all the harpies in the audience start to applaud. Like a bunch of seals, they're all so happy to hear that. But they wouldn't raise their hands when Elizabeth asked, "How many of you had to come here and go through security to get in here just to hear us talk?" And by the way, what was crazy is that they already had the pictures of Preddy and What's-Her-Nuts already together, because by the time they were talking here, they threw their pictures up onto the screen. So you know what they were doing. They were like preparing it and everything else, and just threw the pictures up on the screen.
Were murdered, and death is not a mistake. That was a murder. No,
that was a murder.
Now let me finish.
As were those killed by illegal immigrants.
Let's not be dismissive about the fact.
I'm not dismissive. I just said all their lives matter.
Yeah. So basically, they just didn't answer her question or address her point, and instead just decided they were gonna pull up the cadavers of Preddy and what's her name, and so that's how the View operates. So Hasselbeck, I don't know how long she's going to be there, but she really did a great job. And, the Republican strategist, Anna Navarro, who really is just kind of a leftist. And then we have Farrah Griffin, who's, not so. There is a conservative back on the show, it seems, but I'm not quite sure how long. But I think it's great. Somebody said Elizabeth Hasselbeck is the GOAT, and she is. So it was nice to see her. We'll follow up on the firing of Kristi Noem. Looks like all the Democrats are happy because they have a scalp. And that's the worst part of all this, is that President Trump gave him a scalp. And I don't think should have. The only people who wanted Kristi Noem fired were the news media and the Democrats, so they could beat their chest and celebrate. And I never want to give these people anything to celebrate, regardless of what may have been happening with Kristi Noem. So I think it's a mistake. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home, too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family. Where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement. Where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com. On the next
Larry Connor's USA.
This story behind the story when Oprah beefed about the Texas cattle industry and got sued.
Larry Connor's USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
People turn their heads each day, so satisfied I'm on my way. Take a straight and stronger course to the corner of your life.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. So this is the problem with firing Kristi Noem. Let's go to this one, Ashlyn, as the usual suspects. The Democrats are all, of course, gloating.
Changes the whole agency, stops the violence, and reins in ICE.
What do you think about his selection of Senator Mullen to lead this agency?
I told you, this is not an issue of personnel. It's an issue of policy. The rod is way deep down. It transcends any one individual.
Mr. Leader, some Democrats are saying that they think this might make it easier for your negotiations on.
That's up to them. They've been stonewalling us.
But you're in the.
So basically, the other part of this too is that President Trump fired her to appease the Democrats in order to get the DHS funding through, and now the Democrats are shoving it back in his face, which is what they do. Chuck Schumer cannot be trusted. Chuck Schumer is in no way, shape, or form to be trusted. President Trump gave the Democrats a scalp in the form of Kristi Noem, I'm sure in hopes of trying to get this funding. And this is the thanks he gets with Chuck Schumer and beyond. This is the you can go ahead and turn that up. This is the thanks he gets from these guys as they are shoving it back in his face.
Of Secretary Noem with Senator Mullen. Another look right here of Senator Mullen. And to talk more about this breaking news.
Well, so we'll see we'll tune you in when the next Democrat clown comes out of the Capitol to gloat in front of all the cameras about all this. Cory Booker was already out there, and Chuck Schumer was already out there, and you know, it's one of these situations where all we're going to see now is the celebration of the left and the Democrats. And, you know, I understand that Kristi Noem had some complicated type of this Corey Lewandowski thing that she was doing, and the house and the visits and all this other stuff. It's really crazy. And so, yeah, maybe there was some personality issues, whatever. But I can also see, President Trump is a guy who makes deals. I get that. So perhaps handing the scalp of Kristi Noem over to the Democrats will give him an avenue of funding DHS. And sometimes if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. And that's just all business. And there's a possibility that Kristi Noem even cooperated with all of this. Who knows? When she was speaking at this event, I don't know where it was, but she was speaking at this city's event. When she was speaking there, she didn't even seem to be very upset. Obviously, Kristi Noem is a stoic individual and probably wouldn't sit there and be upset in front of a lot of these law enforcement people and beyond. But I think that in many ways, this is maybe even a negotiated kind of exit on her part. Although I guess technically, if that was, she would call it a resignation. But at the same time, it could have been something like, I'll go ahead and let you fire me so that you can go ahead and take that credit. So I don't resign. And then you have to, kind of ask me not to or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I thought she did a great job. I thought she was a really, really big asset to the Department of Homeland Security. And the fact that she was kind of a well put together woman and had a great background as governor and everything else, that she added some stature to the position, and I thought it was really great. But it is what it is, and I thought she did a great job, and I'm disappointed that she was fired. So but as I always say, this is always my test, whether it was with the Iran war or what have you, is that President Trump has been right a hell of a lot more than he's been wrong. And that's what I trust. I'm not like a Trump sycophant, even though I love the guy, and I'm not averse to being called a fanboy or whatever. But this is a situation where I'll trust his judgment on it. I don't like it. I don't like what he did, but I'll trust his judgment on it. That's how I look at everything. He doesn't care whether I don't like it or not. So, I'll just trust his judgment on it and see how it goes. I'm sure they've done the calculations. Okay, so we're going to pull Markwayne Mullin out, and you couldn't. And one of the reasons why there might have been somebody else you could pull out of there if you wanted somebody from the Senate or somebody strong or whatever from the Senate. And Oklahoma would probably be the most preferred state to pull a Republican out of a Senate seat and replace that person with another Republican because Oklahoma is always red. So whoever Markwayne Mullin's replacement is will most likely be guaranteed to be reelected because Oklahomans are cool people and are it's a red state. So it's a safe seat. Regardless, it's a safe Republican seat. So of all seats to kind of change around and have somebody new in or whatever, Oklahoma would probably be the best one. It looks like Kristi Noem will remain in the administration in a different position, and I'm hearing as a special envoy or whatever. I don't know, but I'm sure that she's going to be remaining with the administration. The word is that Senator Mullen is very close to Kristi Noem. He really is a big time supporter of hers, and so I'm sure a little bit of this is awkward and for them, but it's clearly since President Trump will make decisions, and these decisions in the past have always been best for the country. So I'm willing to kind of look at it as something like, well, I don't like it, but what? Who am I? You know what I mean? I'm just that. All right, I wanted to get to this too, and we'll obviously keep up with all of the breaking news regarding the firing of Secretary Noem, and I know that we'll have a situation where perhaps Tony is going to dig into it, and there might be some developments there as well on Colombo and Company. Jared Jenkins, good call. Vance Noem, 28. Well, you never know. I think she would be a great vice presidential candidate. That would be great. Really quickly, did you guys see that people are all over Caroline for this?
Have been too weak and ineffective to address this threat. Some, like Barack Hussein Obama, even sent pallets of cash that ultimately financed this terrorist crusade against the United States and our people.
Yeah. And now, of course, everybody's like, she called him Barack Hussein Obama. I was like, you mean his name? I mean, that is his name, right? It's not like they just added Hussein Obama there. His parents did. So it's like, and I realize, I guess, technically, to mention it, you know what you're kind of connoting there. But it is, after all, his name. So it's not like it's that big a deal, you know? Let's see. Barely Big says, if the Oklahoma governor appoints the next senator, let's hope he appoints a MAGA. He can't be trusted. Well, that governor is apparently pretty conservative. So we'll see what happens. And I'm almost positive that Senator Mullen will have some kind of a statement about it, or some kind of impact into impact on the decision making of who's going to replace Mullen. I'm fairly certain of that. So that would be a really good thing in the end. So. And so he'll have it. He has influence in Oklahoma, I guarantee you. So we'll see, and hopefully the Senate will go ahead and get this going quickly, because we still have a lot of concerns about these sleeper cells and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not sure that leadership vacuum is going to cause a problem in any way, shape, or form. But it looks like Mullen. There are cameras outside of his office now. It looks like he did make a statement earlier, but I'm sure that will be coming to you via Tony Colombo and Company. And we'll have more on this developing story as the day goes on. Stick with News Talk STL. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Coming up next, as I promised, Colombo and Company and Tony Colombo, Common Sense Radio. Have a good one.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation.